and welcome to Earshot's Fire Chat show with two very, very interesting women leaders. Of course, one is Union Minister Smriti Irani ji, who we are all well aware of and have followed her career closely. And very recently, I mean, the historical win in Amethi, where none other than the Gandhi heir, Rahul Gandhi, was defeated in his own home ground. And I think that would possibly be one of the most significant victories of 2019 and will definitely go down in the history of electoral politics, something that was assumed to be impossible. But Mrs. Irani has shown us time and time again that she really does make the impossible possible. So very, very pleased and grateful to have you here with us, ma'am. I know you're on the move as always, and you've managed to steal a little time away for us. So thank you so very much.
I'm grateful that we can have this conversation from a moving vehicle. So thank you for your patience.
Always our pleasure. And I also would like to take this opportunity to welcome our other speaker for this afternoon is Ms. Jaya Jagdish. She is the country head for AMD India and leads a team of, hear this, thousands working at the very bleeding edge of semiconductor design in India. She's one of AMD's first employees in India out of Bangalore since early 2005 and has played a key role in fundamentally shifting India's position from being a limited engineering site to one day that designs the very core of AMD's CPUs. That's where we're at today, thanks to her intervention and AMD from the year 2005, 15 years. Just this month, she was awarded the Global Semiconductor Alliance's Rising Women of Influence Award, an accolade that recognizes the next generation of women leaders in Silicon rising to the very top of their fields. She's also one of Diversity Journal's 2018 Women Worth Watching for being a global change maker in technology. Ask her about her success as a woman leader, however, and she might urge you to not look at her growth from the prism of gender. She envisages a future where there is no such term as women leaders, just leaders. Hearty welcome to you as well, Jaya. And I would like to take this opportunity to really start with the topic of the day. And Minister, if you have a few comments to make before we commence on the importance of STEM and the girl child, because that is the thrust of our conversation.
I think one of the predominant behavior patterns we see when families beseech institutions to take into consideration future prospects of their children, we find more and more families resoundingly say that bete ko doctor banana hai, engineer banana hai. But that is not a behavior pattern that manifests itself when you engage on celebratory occasions. You will find most gifts that are given to the girl child mostly circle around gifts like a doll or a kitchen set. And building blocks are blocks that we give to the male child in the family. And this might sound insignificant when it comes to a correlation with STEM, but OECD has actually published many research papers on this issue, and they have said that at the nascent stage, when a child is getting familiar with instruments of learning, it is those stages which determine a child's inclination then towards future concepts, or for that matter, future subject matters. And that is why predominantly there's now a conversation about why not give children gender neutral toys which do not confine a girl child to predetermined choices and make a girl child choose her subjects, or for that matter just predispose her to subject matters which might not emanate from STEM subjects. So I think that many people might feel that this is too much of an how do I say this? Too much of an in-depth analysis of how behavior patterns determine choices later. But I think now it's been scientifically proven that early on, when building blocks are given to boys, or boys are sat down and told to solve puzzles as compared to girls, that kind of gives rise to a kind of disparity within the when it comes to STEM and non-STEM subjects. So I think that if you are looking at more and more women in STEM, you need to make the correct choices for young girls at the school level itself. And I think that is where the effort needs to begin. Most of the effort focuses post standards as to what kind of choices girls should make, whether they should get into technical institutions or not. But I think that whether you are making informed choices as a parent and as a young child, that begins right from behavior patterns that emanate from home.
Wonderful. Jaya, taking off from what the minister just discussed about school being really the first building block, so to speak, for young girls developing an interest in STEM, what has been your own personal journey as a young girl and then being drawn into this field and, of course, now excelling in it?
I completely agree with what our minister said. I mean, it really, the interest in STEM or into education needs to start way too early. I have benefited by my parents who were very keen. I come from a normal middle class family where it was emphasized right at the start, at a very young age, that education and hard work are the only means to success. So there are no shortcuts. And I was introduced into a lot of good learnings at school where there was really no restriction on what girls should do or boys should do. However, when I was, even as a child, very interested in dismantling things and putting things together, the idea of engineering meant problem solving to me, which kind of, it was very interesting for me to see how these roads were constructed, how everything operated in this world. And engineering to me meant creativity and, progress. So that was the reason I chose engineering. And of course, while making that decision, I was exposed to stereotyping or typecasting in the society. The society back then, this was 30 years ago, so it was still warming up to the idea of more and more women getting into engineering. And I was advised by a lot of people to not take up engineering as it's not as suited for girls, and to either consider becoming a doctor, or pure sciences. And in fact, I even had a professor who actually made a comment saying, by taking on engineering, you're wasting a boy's seat, which again, it didn't really impact my decision as such, but it triggered a resolve within me where I felt I shouldn't waste this education or this opportunity that I have got. I should make the best use of it.
That's of course very interesting. How many girls were there in your engineering class back in the day, 30 years ago?
Mine was again electronics and communications, which is slightly more popular than mechanical or civil engineering amongst girls. So we had around 15% women, girls.
Both of you are women leaders in fields that are very different, yet male dominated in a very, very pronounced way. I was just keen to know from you, Minister. We've discussed this on other platforms as well about stereotype when it comes to doing your work, gender stereotyping. We are of course privy to the amount of aggressive trolling, I would say, that you face in the public domain on social media and things like that. How do you navigate this very male centric world and get to the top?
In your opening remarks about Jaya, you spoke about the fact that she looked forward to a time where you are just recognized as leader and not as a female leader. I held the same view for years on end. As you grow older and as you look around the impact that you create, embracing the fact that you can be a woman and a leader, these two facets of your personality have a distinct impact not only on your life but also those who are around you. And I say this for two reasons. Firstly, when you look upon leadership, it's mostly defined from a male perspective. It is defined as somebody who is resilient, somebody who is a go-getter, as they call it. And women are supposed to be the empathetic lot. Women are the ones who are supposed to amalgamate and massage everybody's feelings. And for years on end, there have been conversations around why would you characterize a man who's leading as assertive, and assertive female leader will have a negative connotation to her personality. And I think we've come to such a time in our lives now as a society where we can say that I take actually distinct pride in being a female leader. Why? Because it means that I can be assertive. It means that at the same time I can be empathetic. It means that I can drive a very hard bargain. And it also means that I would not shy away from wanting to make space for other women, because that is a conversation that male leaders do not have about their leadership resulting in only followers and not other leaders. So today, when I look back at my political journey, what do I pride in? That yes, my organization gave me an opportunity to shine as a leader, but regardless, I had the opportunity to give space to and carve out a niche for other female leaders. So I talk very fondly about this lady called Asha Lakra. She's a tribal lady. She's currently a two-time mayor of Ranchi. And she came into the organization when I was the women's wing president. The current women's wing president of the BJP, Vanti Srinivasan. I had the opportunity of working with her for 15 years. One of our colleagues today who came out of nowhere into Indian politics from the state of Tamil Nadu, the district of Nagarkoil. She was a formidable lawyer locally, but she never thought that she'll get an opportunity to serve at a national or a state level. Victoria Gauri ended up today is one of the assistant solicitor generals of the state of Tamil Nadu. So I think that why I take pride in being a female leader is that this is the one caucus which helps bring to the fore other female leaders. And that is why I would not shy away from this nomenclature. And insofar as male dominance and shenanigans go in the fields either Jaya and I have been a part of, I think that is what makes it more pleasurable to win. That is what gives us that distinct edge that A, people do not presume that you will have the aptitude to shine. And B, when I say that we compete and we came up to the top of our game, we did so with some of the best men and women. And I think that that gives us a greater sense of achievement. The fact that we competed on equal terms, and especially when nobody would have given us two dimes as to our own aptitude, as to our own capacity. So I think that needs to be celebrated because A, it's not being a leader as is. Being a female leader is more so difficult. So, like I said, it gives a certain amount of pleasure when you go out and compete equally, irrespective of the disadvantages that you've had. But you make sure that in your victory, you create space for more women to emerge. You will rarely see men recognizing these attributes about each other. It is not as though men are not in need of help or in need of counsel, but it's very rare for men to actually publicly accept that they're in need of that kind of help or they're in need of that kind of counsel, because there's a presumption that if you're a leader, you don't need to engage because you're at the top of your game. And I think that's again what makes women distinctly, I think, distinguished when it comes to leadership capabilities. We recognize that even leadership is a learning process. Even leadership means that we continue to seek counsel and give counsel. So, like I said, in your comment, I find that that in itself is a trait of a female leader. The fact that you recognize that we need to support each other, the fact that we recognize that irrespective of the fact that I'm at the head of the pack, that still means that I need to continue to learn.
Absolutely, very, very true. And in fact, Jaya chatted and I chatted also 2 days ago. And one of the my curiosities was being such a male-dominated profession. When in fact, when we think of engineer, we think of a man instantly, in the imagination. I was keen to know, as somebody who is the country head and leading such a large team, how do you deal with these kind of situations, Jaya?
Again, it's not easy to climb up the ladder being a woman. Acceptance doesn't come easy. And I was sharing with Advaita a funny episode where, my name can be confusing. It can be interpreted as a male name. I mean, Jaya Jagdish can also become a man. So when they look at the country head or India head title, a lot of people who are new to AMD assume I'm a man. I mean, that's by default assumption. And they are kind of in for a shock or a surprise when I enter the room saying I'm Jaya Jagdish. So acceptance is something that I have found comes a little bit harder. My approach is, I believe I am a leader and I'm a woman. And I have some very unique strengths that are special to me. And I won't hesitate to use those strengths to my advantage. And I am myself, even when I'm interacting in a room full of men, I voice my opinion. And of course, I am myself. We have these unique strengths like, caring, sensitive nature. We are very observable. So these are things that can actually be advantages for us. And also, one thing that I kind of struggled a bit in my initial days was finding my voice. By nature, I am a shy person and more of an introvert. But in a room full of very vocal men, when I had to express myself or share my opinion, I had a hard time. I know I had to resort to pre-wiring via emails or raising my hand, waving till I made sure I was heard. But again, over time, when everyone saw the impact of what I contributed into the discussion and the content, that's what really mattered, and that honestly became my strength. I did not talk too much. I did not have an opinion about everything. But when I did have an opinion, everyone listened.
Interacting with both your offices, both your teams, is that, the constant reference to, she and her, and she does this, or she likes this, or she needs to do that. For me, it was secretly very thrilling, to kind of, it coordinate for high powered women, because usually it's always a man at the other end who one is getting everything together for. So that was quite exciting for me at this point. Minister, I'm very curious to know, even from there's this old saying that behind every successful man is a woman. So in your personal lives, you're both married. What role have your spouses played in this journey towards success?
I've been a working professional for 2.5 decades, and I've done the whole demure, beautiful bit of explaining to how everybody has contributed to my success. The difference is, if you ask a man ever, one, nobody asks a man, but a successful man never stands publicly and says, I'm successful because of my mommy, my daddy, my wife, my kids. That never happens. So my request to you would be, can we now uh, come to a point where we just let successful women be and say, yes, you succeeded because you had talent. Yes, you succeeded because you worked hard. Anytime you hear a woman say, I succeeded because I worked hard for it, there would be eyes rolling and saying, oh my God, how arrogant is she? Why can't she be gracious? And it is for those women that I say that now let's start telling our girls that if you succeed, yes, you will not ask the question of a man as to whether there was a woman behind his success. And similarly, let's not do that disfavor to young girls who come behind us, come behind me and Jaya. I mean, I don't know whether I have Jaya's support on this, but I strongly believe in it because I have done dutifully an affirmation that everybody else is to be given the credit for my success.
Now I'm scared to pose it to Jaya. Although I did say that they ask men they always say that a good woman is behind a man. You may not have heard it because of the movement. So I am on the
No, no,
safe
I
on
think
safe.
I think behind every successful man is a woman rolling her eyes.
The minister said something very interesting about your how in terms of your journey, whether you agree, whether you don't agree. So I'm just going to hand this over to you without asking any specific questions.
I have similar opinions. Again, accomplishments are the same, whether it's accomplished by men or women, and they all need to work hard, they need to face challenges, and no one person can really make or break another one. I mean, support comes from various directions. Of course, my family, I've been very grateful, including my parents, especially my mother, who actually dreamt of me becoming educated and becoming an engineer and pursuing my career. She's been a huge pillar of support for me. And of course, my husband has been very supportive, and he's a true partner in my life. That's how I look at it. And another point. I mean, the strong influences that I have had have been from other women. I mean, my own CEO, Dr. Lisa Su, has been an exceptional leader and an industry icon. and her influence on me has been tremendous. So I wouldn't just stick to men influencing or helping women grow, but it's, I mean, help comes and influence comes from different directions.
And also, I was very keen to talk to you about being at this global high table of influencers in the tech world. And the world is increasingly run by tech companies, whether they are in our face, like, the social media giants, or from behind in the semiconductor world. I mean, just incredible, whatever little I've read on it. How is that for you as an Indian woman, to be on those tables and to be hobnobbing, so to speak, in that set?
It's again any opportunity to represent myself, my organization is something I'm very proud to do, or even representing India. India has been, I mean, having studied and worked in US for many years, my true calling was with India. I definitely wanted to come back to my home country. So I feel I take a lot of pride. And, my mantra is I don't like to do anything artificial for the sake of doing it. I mean, it has to come from within me. I stick to my principles, my ideologies, and I stick to being myself. And that has definitely worked.
In difference that you saw between your experience as a student in America and in India, as well as a working woman in America and in India?
There are a lot of similarities than differences, I would say. The percentage of women, whether it was in my coursework at University of Texas at Dallas, or when I was working as an engineer in some of the companies based out of US, it was pretty minimal. I would say it was less than what we see in India, at least to start with. Because in India, I have definitely seen a lot more women getting into the professional fields and joining the company. I mean, at AMD, one of the things that I noticed, I was pleasantly surprised to see about more than 25% women employees. But however, the bigger challenge in India uh, is women give up their careers midway, either because of life cycle changes or other challenges that they encounter. I mean, one thing that I have also noticed is there's a section of women who are genuinely stressed. I mean, when they have a baby or some face some challenges, they just don't get that outside support or from the ecosystem, and they're forced to quit their careers or jobs. However, there is also a section of women who kind of look at their careers or jobs as a source of extra income, which is true. But again, the success doesn't really come if you just view your job as a source of income and don't invest with that passion and interest. To me, it should define what you are, a part of what you are. It needs to become part of your life. That's when you can really do the maximum with your career or with your life.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is conversation has breezed past us. We're nearly at the end, so I'll just hand over to the minister again, and would like her also to address this particular issue that we're facing in India nowadays, with all the figures and the statistics coming out of women dropping out of work in mid-career stage and really not getting to the top of their professions for multiple reasons. Is there a solution to that? Is there something that can be done?
As a woman, if you do not consistently pursue a career, then it seems that you're not evolved enough. That is again a narrative which has begun. If you're a woman who is happy to balance and choose a life where she would not want to be ambitious enough, I think that choice of a woman needs to be celebrated and supported. Yes, there are women who are denied a shot at the top, and those women need a different kind of support or a different kind of a pathway. I think what is essential today is that gender and gender issues have become central to narratives, to policy making, or to even for that matter, societal change. Gender has become very central to them. And I think that is where we can take a lot of heart in. If a woman today decides not to work, it is her choice, and we as a society need to respect it. If a woman chooses to only be a professional and not pursue a personal life, we need to respect that. I think ultimately it boils down to the fact that a woman's choice of what kind of life she wants to lead needs to get adequate support from everybody around her. The larger context with which you're speaking of, which is a choice to succeed, I think needs to be balanced out with equal opportunity. And I think women need one, an educative support within society through administration, through families. And once they have the adequate education, then they want an equal opportunity to compete. I have never heard of a woman saying, give me a hand me down. I have never heard of a woman saying, give me an additional mark just because I'm a woman. I think every woman cries out only for equal opportunity. And I think equal opportunity, the ecosystem for it, the narrative of it begins from homes, from office establishments. I know of women in STEM who are part of the scientific community who say that though they may be as competent as their male colleagues, it's only at the evaluation stage at times when they are let go of and not promoted, not given adequate support, because there is a presumption कि आपको promotion देके क्या होगा, कल को आपकी शादी होगी, फिर आपके बच्चे होंगे, फिर आपको चाइल्ड केयर लीव चाहिए. The mercy that the COVID pandemic has brought upon us is that work from home has become as much a male culture as it was presumed to be a female work ethic. So I think that in the forthcoming times, you will see a recalibration of work ethics. You will see, as you said in one of your remarks, Advaita, that आप engineering में क्यों जा रहे हो, आप लड़के की सीट बर्बाद कर रहे हो. I think those narratives are coming to a standstill now, but there's much to be done. And I think every Indian woman will resoundingly tell you that all she wants is an equal opportunity to compete. The rest, her talent can take care of it.
Thank you so much. And Jaya, I want to thank you as well for sparing your time. If there's anything that you'd like to share at this point, I mean, we are sitting with the Minister for Women and Child Welfare. So, I mean, if there's any suggestion, that in a way that AMD can, uh, or just, in general, that tech companies can support this initiative towards more girls entering STEM.
I want to start off by applauding the current government initiatives. I mean, that I've been very appreciative of. I mean, the extension of maternity leave has helped many women, come back peacefully after childbirth and pursue their careers. And, initiatives to get more girls interested in STEM, creating a role model influence on them, which actually helps. It kind of imprints at a very young age the need to excel and follow someone or become like someone that they admire, creating role model influence. And I believe we can do a lot more by creating partnerships between government, academia, and industry to maybe have a special customized education for talented high potential girls and things like that. But the government has done a lot, is doing a lot, and it has created a huge momentum with girls, a lot more girls getting into STEM.
The Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, I think, has been one of the most significant initiatives in the last 6 years by any government in a long time. And I think the minister wants to add something here. So,
no, now is the time for Beti Badhao.
True.
So
That is
we
true.
have taken a resolve of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, but especially in STEM, now is the time to say Beti Badhao.
Perfect note to end this wonderful conversation on, and Beti Badhao being I think the slogan going forward. Only you can come up with this spontaneously. And I want to thank both of you for sparing the time today, and really thank you once again for doing all that you do for women in the workplace, and Minister, through your policies, of course, and of course in your personal realm as well. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.